Hello and welcome everybody, New Zealand Prepper here. Today we have a lot to get through, so let's crack in, shall we? This is a very important video today. Please like, comment, subscribe and share this video. Then above all else, prepare now, do not wait. You are probably noticing things are not looking settled or consistent as a whole, both in New Zealand and further abroad. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to give you some information you probably didn't know about international affairs first, and then we're going to move on to a couple of things in New Zealand. Then I'm going to give you some insights and advice on things I think that you should do about it and what I'm doing about it myself as a prepper. So let's talk about a little known part to the conflict happening between Russia and the West. You'll note I didn't say between Russia and Ukraine, and that is because Ukraine is a proxy state that has been effectively westernized. Most people do not know, and how would they know when our media is so corrupt, that Russia wanted to join NATO in the 1990s. Putin actively pursued a path towards joining and spoke about it with the then President Bill Clinton. For various reasons, most notably being Russia not being a democratic government, they were refused. Not only were they refused, but the US-led NATO started expanding and encircling Russia. To understand fully, we need a few more parts of the picture. Let's talk briefly about international trade. Specifically, Turkey, which has been a member of NATO since the 1950s, it controls the Bosphorus Strait, which is a crucial trade route that connects various seas along the eastern Mediterranean, the Balkans, the Near East, and western Eurasia. Specifically, the straits allows maritime connections from the Black Sea all the way to the Aegean and Mediterranean seas, the Atlantic Ocean via Gibraltar, and the Indian Ocean through the Suez Canal, making them a crucial international waterway, in particular for the passage of goods coming from Russia. The Montreux Convention, which was signed in 1936 and is still in effect now, grants free access to merchant and civilian vessels through the straits, but not military vessels with large guns. This maintains a delicate balance of peace in the area, or rather it did for a long time, but that appears to be coming to an end. And yes, you guessed it once again, America broke the spirit of the treaty on a technicality, as the Montreux Convention was signed in 1936 and designed to prevent battleships from gaining access. What did America do? Well, they sent missile cruisers through. As they didn't exist in 1936, technically it did not break the agreement. However, I believe, and it's pretty clear, that this is against the spirit of the convention. Now, that is one happening, but it is not enough to destabilize the region, as, of course, Russia has warships in the Black Sea and could defend itself against America's limited access of missile cruisers, and given the Bosphorus Straits are congested, they would have a lot of warning also. Until Turkey decided a paid trade link should be established in Istanbul and started to build it in 2021. This paid Istanbul Canal would not be covered by the Convention of 1936, and as Turkey is a NATO member, would not only be used as an express trade route for those willing to pay, but would also grant swift military access to the Black Sea, right on Russia's doorstep. And so we see this is but another of the USA's aggressive geopolitical moves. And why else would they want to go there? Well, it's simple. All around the Caspian Sea there is a lot of gas and oil, and basically Russia has better access to those strategic resources and is making a lot of money from them, and the USA wants to weaken Russia and take its resources. And since the sanctions that they put in place at the end of the Cold War hadn't worked, they need to do more to destabilize and create conflict. And of course they do. They are nearing the end of their time as the world's reserve currency, which will cause the USA to fall. And so I say again, as I have on this channel to you, the situation is not going to resolve itself peacefully. It is going to intensify and become all-out World War III, West versus East. And the West are the aggressor here, and have been ever since the end of World War II. Right, so moving on. Let's talk about globalization, should we? As we are all seeing now, globalization is a fail. Over the decades, as trade increased during the relative peace following the end of the Second World War, globalization took off. Rich countries who could afford to purchased more items internationally, and they did so with US dollars, as it was and as is the world's reserve currency. This led to those with weaker valued dollars producing more because they paid their workers less, and those with stronger currencies buying more and producing less. This is why America almost only produces military. China makes almost everything, and Russia, with its sanctions, is almost self-sufficient and is a net exporter of food and strategic resources. America has spent the last 6 decades stealing strategic resources and land from others in the world to improve its standing, all at the expense of peace and its own population. Little by little, the autonomy and control over life your grandparents and parents had is being eroded. Multinational organizations control media, shipping, information online, for example, net neutrality. Your data is a product to be bought and sold with the express desire to know what you do, where you go, who you're with, and they do so under the guise of policing and keeping you safe. Now they are at it again. The plan to become global slave masters is happening. And yes, it all sounds very conspiratorial, but we do have unelected organizations controlling our world right now. In the West, we have the United Nations, which has been ineffective and positions in it are more for show. On the other hand, the World Economic Forum has been open about infiltrating worldwide governments and putting its agendas forward. Just yesterday, a top economist here in New Zealand mentioned on live TV, while talking about our official cash rate rise and inflation, that ESG, or environmental social governance, is adding cost pressures that exacerbate inflation. I'll say that once again. It was openly admitted on live national TV on Newshub's AM show that we are implementing policies from the World Economic Forum here in New Zealand. From what I've read and seen, we are going to implement the whole damned lot of them. Which brings us to the nuts and bolts of today's video. Significant natural areas. Have you heard that yet, or has the media kept that quiet? This has been a little below the radar recently, but here is what's happening here in New Zealand. Under an amendment to the Resource Management Act put in the 1990s, yes, you heard me correctly, this has been planned more than 30 years in advance, the government can designate significant natural areas anywhere in its economic zone of control. They are doing so now. If you're a farmer, you probably have or will be getting advised which parts of your land you are and are not allowed to use. Yes, it is that broad-reaching. You may still own your land and the government is not going to overtly confiscate it or compensate you for it. You just can't use it. You can't farm it, grow food on it, develop it, or do anything that would change that significant natural area in any way. They are drawing up the maps now. They also want you to help them to decide how much land they should steal productivity from you. They have put out an ag production census amidst all of this right now. You should probably not fill this out, I would say. You see, they want to cull the herd without compensation. They will make vast parts of your land unable to be farmed by you, then implement herd control based on usable land. It's an out-and-out attack on the farmers as part of the environmental social governance. An attack on farmers is an attack on you. If there are less animals to eat everywhere, prices are going to explode. You won't be able to afford meat. At the same time, we have a war that will grow to international proportions and act as a distraction while all the freedoms you thought you had are taken. After the war is lost to the east, they will look to implement a large international army because we will have no chance to defend ourselves if we don't have an international armies to do so. But alas, I see this army being used as control upon its own. Now significantly lowered populations, and thus the technocratic dictatorship has reached its zenith. Right now, I'm guessing I sound pretty crazy to most of you, and that could never happen, right? So, do nothing then and see if I'm wrong. If you've made it this far, maybe you'd be willing to come a little further. All of those policies that are being implemented only work if you let them. Most of us in this day and age rely almost solely on your government and supply chains for the things you need to get by. What then would happen if inevitably there is nothing in the grocery store for you to buy, and what there is you don't want or can't afford? This brings me to the preparedness strategy we need to all work on. It does not matter if you own your home, are renting, live in an apartment. If everyone does this, they will have no power to impose their agendas upon you. There are two main aspects of preparing. These are supplies and production. The first is supplies, getting your food, preparing for a few days, then a few weeks, then a few years if that is feasible. This means getting long life foods, storing them in buckets with mylar packaging, oxygen absorbers and vacuum seals. This allows you to have food on hand when others do not or cannot get it. It is practical and the first step, in my opinion. Here, once you've gotten to a few months of food, water and other sanitary and medical and self-defense related items, move on to production. When you can no longer procure items, your ability to produce is what counts. I live in a city here in New Zealand. There's only 2 in my household. I have roughly 50 square meters of garden, 6 chickens, a small greenhouse. The water table is not deep, which makes a well practical. Freshwater rivers and streams are within walking distance, and the hunting land is also accessible on foot if need be. This is my productive prepping strategy. You can grow a lot of food with this space. We grow more than we eat. We use the excess to feed chickens, and the chickens provide eggs and fertilizer. We hunt for meat and have more eggs than we can use. I grow organically using chickens to eat the snails in the garden. I've got 17 fruit or berry trees, and the varieties I grow self-seed themselves, or I try to save the seeds for the next season. This is what I would be putting your effort into. If you rent, use potting bags. Ask your landlord if you can have a garden. You can grow fruit trees in bags. Just get maybe a PB40, which is a potting bag with a 40-inch diameter, and a semi-dwarf variety of fruit tree probably. Any effort towards production reduces your reliance on the system and lessens the tightness of the noose that is being fitted about you. Next, get tools to work your garden or harvest trees for heating or cooking if the grid goes down. Ones that are built well and you know how to maintain and sharpen, and do not rely on external fuel sources unless you prep by stocking those fuels. After you have a strategy for production, good tools are going to be the next most important thing. Hunting tools too, and equipment you use to hunt, but get your base production done first and don't wait. So let's sum today up. Your rights are being taken by your own government, who is implementing agendas from the World Economic Forum and doing so because they have to. If you don't know why they have to, maybe watch some of my other videos. And why the next government will have to too. That is unless we somehow get rid of all of our debt and left the Commonwealth and the UN and declared independence and cancelled all of our trade deals, at which point would be attacked. War is only going to increase and get worse. The price of everything is going to continue going up, and businesses will start to fail due to cost pressures and people not having disposable income to spend on products or services. People are going to get shaken out of their houses as interest rates rise and crush the middle class and new homeowners. Violence and crime will continue to rise. The law will become more draconian. The media will not tell you the truth, and things you never imagined or would or could happen will. protests will break out and then become violent, and much of this could happen before the next election as this government continues ramming the environmental social governance policies that hurt both the people and the businesses too. So get prepared or prepare for the chaos. New Zealand Prepper here, hoping you're all more prepared and more informed. Until next time, stay safe everyone.